Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of Blah Blah with STAAH. I'd like to introduce you to Tunku Iskandar, who is the Chief Executive Chairman at the Melewar Group in Malaysia.
Hi everyone.
We're now going to learn a little bit more about him and hopefully by the end you'll know exactly what a wonderful person he is. A lot of the listeners and people watching this episode are in hospitality, of course. And what's really interesting is to understand how people get into hospitality. So what made you fall in love with hospitality and tourism those many years ago?
And yes, a great many years ago. And trying to go back half a century, I think, or more.
Amazing.
It must have been around 1968, I think, I remember, when I was a student in the UK. And at that time, I was put in charge to organize trips for the Malaysian student cultural group, of which I was a part of, to travel around the country to go to venues. We went to Scotland and Wales and all kinds of places to perform at universities and other places. And as well as overseas meaning to the continent, to Europe. I think especially it was France, Germany, and Belgium, if I remember. So I had to organize those trips, and I went to a travel agent, one on the Edgware Road, called Rely on Us Travel, I think. I don't know whether it's still there or not. And Rely on Us, yes. And organized the train tickets, the bus tickets, and we didn't fly at those days to get to where we were going to. So that was the first bit of my delving into getting my feet wet in the travel business. I got a job with a Malaysian GLC, a government-linked company. And in those days, there were very few of them, and this was one of the prestigious ones. My father said, we have this little travel agency, and we've just sacked the general manager, and can you just sit there and hold the fort while we look for another one? And so many months later, I was still doing it and enjoying it. And so that was the very beginnings of my involvement in this thing. The travel agency was very small. It was 3 people. I was the 4th person. And it's 50 years old this year.
Amazing.
And so it's come a long way.
It's, the 60s, of course, was really the start of mass travel. If I think about, what was happening in the UK at that time with a lot of tour operators starting the holiday packages to Spain and to France and so on. So it was really the start of that whole movement to get people away on holiday. So that's a great motivator, isn't it?
Yeah. So days of Thomas Cook, the start of Thomas Cook and Butlin's holidays and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And obviously, if we fast forward to the last 10, 15 months, it's been quite a challenging time for most people, particularly in hospitality and travel. How have you managed to keep yourself motivated and charged? What are the things that are driving you at the moment?
Well, one of the things I had done over the years, apart from the travel business, I became involved with a number of tourism industry associations in Malaysia, in the region, and internationally as well. And that I've continued to be involved in that all these years. And one of the things that's been more prevalent lately is organizing, or rather, they've organized a number of events, virtual events, and I've been involved in many of them. I also have continued to update myself, as well as my friends and my company colleagues, and the industry as well, because I produce 5 issues a week online newsletter.
Wow.
So what I do it the easy way. I take bits and pieces from online news and compile it into one digest sort of thing.
You're a curator.
Yeah, sort of curator. I identified properly with the source and all that, and but people who receive this seem to enjoy reading all of what they want to see in one place. And, I have to also, yes, moderate those discussions, and so that keeps me going and keeps me very much on my toes.
Be very involved in what's going on.
Yes, yes.
What you have a long history. You've mentioned. What do you have a particular day that comes back to you as your most memorable day? What is the most memorable day for you in that long history?
There's been many milestones, some millstones, but more milestones over the years. I think it's perhaps a number of them. Those times when I've been recognized in the industry with the things I've done for the organizations and for the industry, and among them have been I was once chairman of PATA, Pacific Asia Travel Association, and they gave me the Life Membership Award. So they got me for life, can't get rid of me. But I continue to be involved with them. And more recently, 3 years ago, when Taylor's University of Malaysia conferred me their honorary doctorate in business, and that was really I was very much honored by that conferment.
It's wonderful, certainly. I mean, you've spent a lot of time more recently in a role of diffusing your experience and mentoring and informing colleagues and partners and so on. What would be your let's say 3 or 4 key advice points that you would give to aspiring young people who are looking to get into hospitality or into travel as a career?
Yes, young people today are very much in a hurry, and I think that's not just because the people have changed, but the environment has changed. Everything is immediate. Everything is the internet has brought everything with immediacy. And people want to be in a hurry to get to another place, meaning to reach the top of where they want to be or where they are as quickly as possible. So what happens is that they sometimes ignore that the fact that what they've got, the degree or the diploma that they've got for the last 3-4 years, are perhaps, and I would like to say they're the platform for the basis for them to build on, and you can only get that from experience. And so I would like to share with people that they should not forget that they need the experience to go forward and build on platform or the basis that they've got with their qualifications. A lot of people who have been in the industry for 20-30 years have probably got more knowledge about the job that they're doing than those people who just come out of university or college with a diploma or degree. And so I think that in order to excel at their own job, they have to get that experience, not 20-30 years, but they have to have enough under their belt to build onto the qualification that they have to be able to bring benefit to the jobs or the career that they've chosen. COVID-19 has not brought much joy to the industry, but I hope that people will stay in there and hang on in there, and in 2 or 3 years I feel that the pent-up demand for travel will come back and bring us out and probably get back to beyond where we were before.
Completely right. And it's very important that you know, the young people see whatever studies and so on they've done as a foundation, as you've said, and then aim to get experience. And you can get experience in travel at so many levels, okay? But it's important to get your foot in the door. You know, on the flip side, some younger people may complain that when they're going for jobs, the first thing that the employer asks for is experience. And of course, if they've just come out of the university, they don't have that experience. But they shouldn't let that deter them, because if they're persistent enough and they show the right attitude, then that will be, you know, almost better than experience at that entry level.
In Malaysia, a lot of the colleges and universities that offer hospitality or tourism or travel degrees include in it work experience. So they go off and, you know, in the 3 years, they probably spend 6 months to 9 months in attachment with a hotel or a travel agency or tour operator or an airline. And so hopefully that employer recognizes that a little bit of experience as something that they've done.
It's all about recognizing the pathway they're going to take, isn't it?
Yes.
And getting onto the start, making that first step. Okay, so obviously you've been involved in managing and leading businesses and companies for a number of years. We're in this crisis period. How does leadership evolve, and how important is the leadership role in these crises that we're facing at the moment?
I think that this crisis is just, I've been through many crises over the years, and this is of course obviously the worst. We've not been shut down or practically at a standstill for 15 months now. I mean, the past ones we've been through shut us down, but not completely down. We were not down and out. And the thing that we've learned from the past ones is, you know, you should prepare for the worst, expect the worst, but you should plan to get the best outcome. And hopefully the combination of those two will stand you in good stead out of the crisis. But it remains to be seen, how do we get out of this crisis? The word is unprecedented. Everybody uses that word, unprecedented, but it is that. It has never been, there been no precedence for this. And so we're not sure how we go forward with leadership, but I think to be a leader, one has to use your experience and try to enthuse the people who work with you with the knowledge that you have had, and to share with them and encourage them that the good times or the not so bad times are coming.
Sure. Yeah. Looking, you know, at the next 6 to 12 to 18 months, and of course we're all aiming for recovery, for better times, as you say. How do you see technology playing a role in that recovery?
Technology for me, for the last couple of decades, have been something that I've been very pushy about. When I was president of the Malaysian Association of Tour and Travel Agents 2 decades ago, I used to expound to them and say, look, if you don't adopt technology, you don't start using having websites, start using email all the time, you're going to disappear from the face of the earth. Well, 2 decades have gone, they're still there. We're all still here. But yeah. I think at the same time, many did adopt parts of it. And as we go along, more and more of it. I've seen travel agents who were normal retail travel agents who have changed to become more like online travel agents. They've been able to adapt to the technology that's there, and bring it to the benefit of their own organization. And so I believe technology has been very helpful for us in all these years, but the pandemic now has also brought a new facet to it. We found that we can communicate with people like we do now with Zoom and Google Meet and Teams. And so people can communicate so easily and meet so easily virtually. And that has become a mode that we are now starting to use for training of our people in the organization. But also if you have a product, like say you're a hotel or you're an airline, and you wish to inform the travel agents or the public, or not so much public, but more on a B2B basis about your product, then you can use Zoom or Google Meet or whatever, and do that quite easily now. And I think this was something it existed. Of course, we didn't use it because we could meet. People like to party and meet each other, have cocktails, and have a little seminar in a function room. But we haven't been able to do that the last 15 months, sorry. And I think this knowledge or this experience we've gained has put us in good state for the future, because we can now use this in a better way.
I agree fully. I mean, I think the key has been, I mean, it's interesting because it is almost generational in that, our generations have had to adopt this technology. Whereas if you look at the new generations, it's part of their DNA. So it's not even a question of having to change anything. They've been born with it. And it's really an interesting discussion I had yesterday was just around, the school kids that have been having for the last 15 months, they've been having distance learning, and they've been learning about Zoom and Teams and so on. So, they have that as part of their training. So when they get into the workplace and they get into a situation where they are, again, they're not having to learn anything. It's already there. They've already experienced it, used it. They know how to use those tools. So all of these things are evolving as part of the next generation. So it's really, it's really fundamental, the use of technology.
It's interesting. I often think that Google is an extension of my brain, and I wish it were sometimes. but kids nowadays,
it is there in a way. You have your phone. It's there. You have a question, bang, Google. What's the answer? But
and the kids these days just automatically use it.
Yeah, exactly. But what was earlier in our discussion, you were talking about this, kind of curating news stories for other people to consume. So you're kind of, that's in fact what we all need to do, is that there's so much information there that you need to have this kind of filter which allows you to see, okay, what is the good information, okay, and what is the bad information, and obviously consume the good, leave the bad to one side, pass on the good information, which is what you do. And I think those are the kind of things that certainly the younger generations need to probably learn from us, is to how to take all of this available data and use it effectively. Well, thank you very much. That was the first part of the discussion. I'm just going to sort of close off the episode with a few quick fire questions just to finish off. So the first one is books or movies?
Well, I think nowadays movies. It used to be books for me, but I somehow don't have the patience to get to the end of the book.
What is your favorite place to be?
Well, what's my favorite place to be? I tend to enjoy cities. So where would I? You know what? Not because you're in the UK, but I enjoy my annual visits to London.
Well, listen, next time you're over, let me know. We can have tea together, yeah?
Oh, sure, yes.
Music or silence?
Music.
Breakfast meeting or lunch meeting?
Lunch meeting.
Okay, the last question, I mean, it's quite topical because we've had a couple of billionaires in space in the last 2 weeks. But if you had the choice of exploring space or exploring the ocean, which would you choose?
I think the ocean. I know the space is out there, and we've had people coming, going off into space and touching the edges of space. But I think the ocean is so huge and unexplored as well. I would like to explore. I think the ocean for me.
Okay, Tunku, thank you very, very much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure to learn a bit more about you, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
And for all of those that are watching or listening to this episode, thank you for your time as well, and look forward to seeing you at the next episode of BLAAH BLAAH at STAAH. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.